Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Code for Recovery. Sorry, last week I didn't log in. Happy belated. I know it was Memorial Day, so hopefully everybody paid respects to our fallen. Um, for defending and fighting for our freedoms in this great country we live in. I don't really go on during week holidays like that because I know there's a lot of people who lost brothers, sisters, parents, and good friends in combat. So I like to take that time and let them mourn for their lost and their loved ones and pay their respects. Um, Hopefully, everybody stayed sober. You can still celebrate life and death being sober and have more joy out of it. But that's why I didn't log in. Hopefully, everybody had a beautiful weekend with the family and everything. So, welcome back. Let me say. So, during those week, I was thinking a lot. I listened to different groups and different things on addiction and alcoholism, and I read a lot. And sometimes I may not read for a while, and then I'm just going to jump right into it because I like letting information process. Um, it's just I listen like that. Sometimes you could overwhelm something, and like a muscle, the brain's like a muscle. If you take too much on at once, you're going to burn it out. So if you feel that, then you just let it process, and then it grows, and then you research more, and it grows, and that's how you got to exercise that. What we're going to talk about, something that's been on my mind lately, is the root cause of why we drink. And listening to again that whole month at the hog, I lifetime of lessons. Um, Meetings too. I'll go to a meeting, and I'll listen to stories, and then I'll look at, well, why did they relapse? Why, and then listening to the stories and the lives of the people who are frequent flyers, as they will call them, at rehab, who's been a dozen rehabs. It starts falling into place. And I remember when I was there, we were talking, and the crazy thing is, a lot of times we don't confront our root cause of why we drink. And I believe it was brain spotting. I can't remember, mind mapping. I can't remember. It's one of those. Is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Uh, the doc who did it, I wanted to get to the root of my PTSD, and they said that the root of why I drink, or why I was drinking, was my PTSD. And this is PTSD month, so I was doing research. A lot of people, but primarily this is like towards veterans and first responders and all of that. We get hit with a lot of PTSD, and this is PTSD month. So, like I said in the beginning, we're gonna hit that quote by Marcus Aurelius: hit the root cause and cover PTSD as much as we can. Um, Everybody knows what PTSD. When I went, PTSD just accumulated. Um, and I was drinking. I didn't want to confront my PTSD. I didn't, and that's why I was drinking. I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it. I'm good. Self medication. And the definition of PTSD is a mental health condition that's caused by an extremely stressful or terrifying event, either being part of it or witnessing it. Symptoms include flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, uncontrollable thoughts about the event. Sounds like a lot of us. And according to, I'm pulling this up right now. Yes, Dover Behavioral Health System. There is a link. Everybody knows this, but here's the thing that I'm going to tell you what you need to know because I've been there. I still have it. It is controllable. Understanding the link between PTSD, stress disorder, and substance abuse can be key for families and individuals seeking help. We're going to go into this in a minute. PTSD and substance abuse often go hand in hand, creating a cycle that's difficult to break. They're missing one other thing, and this is a scary thing. The final P, the final trifecta is suicide. Think about it. You're drinking, PTSD kicks in, or PTSD kicks in, you're drinking, self-medicating, and dark suicidal thoughts come into play. So what's the root cause of a lot of our drinking, who are first responders and veterans? It is PTSD. And a lot of us, I'm not going to compare, oh, you're a soldier, because back in the day, after like 9/11 and enduring freedom, IEF, OEF, everything kicked off, a lot of soldiers came back with PTSD. And that's when a lot of addiction spiked and a lot of suicide amongst veterans spiked. As first responders, a lot of us never went over to combat, but what we see here in the States has been documented exactly, in some instances, a little bit more chaotic than what they see overseas. As first responders, we see stuff that normal people should not see. And I'm being utterly honest about that. We see death and chaos and darkness on a daily basis, and we're going to be honest about that. We do, you know, and that's our job. Our job is to save and rescue people and help people, but not to hold it in. We have that, and again, we're going to go into a lot of cultural views on the jobs as well. We are taught on the job, in the cultural portion of the job, is to bottle it up, don't talk about it, suck it up, drive on. Anybody who's a veteran understands that. Suck it up, drive on, don't talk about it. Toughen up, deal with it, look at me. I've been on this job 30 years and I'm okay, but yet those same people are back home pounding alcohol, liver's going to shit, they have diabetes. They're trying to instruct you on how to do stuff in a bad way. That was a culture of a lot of, and anybody who's a first responder, chime in. It's true. How many times has somebody asked you, you're not right, something's bothering you, I'm all right, I got this, but you don't, but you're going home and drinking. So what is the root cause of your alcoholism, of your addiction? I guarantee if you ran the numbers and you talk to, say, 100 firefighters, 5 out of 10 is going to sit there and say PTSD. And they don't have to say it outright. You can see by their demeanor and how they talk to their families. A lot of us suffer from PT. I hate suffer. Let me reword it. A lot of us have PTSD. We don't have to suffer. We choose to. It goes back to that dichotomy of control. I have it all on my phone. I wish I had a better screen on here or a second computer. I'm not that high up in technology yet. There you go. That quote I put up there, and I love this quote. This is the root. If you see Marcus Aurelius quotes, people put that up there, and there's a reason why. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. How does that tie in? One, we have the ability to exercise willpower, self-discipline, and self-control. We got to set aside that pride and hit that root cause. When I was at the Hog, the doc, like I said, brain spotting, I can't remember, but she would put this nice chill music on, close my eyes, and she would have this long pointer going to where the anger and the pain and the hurt would come from. She would do head, the body, certain parts of the body, and it was always right here, center mass. And at that point, the session would stop. And then she would have me ask me questions from my childhood all the way to adulthood. And then she would have me tick it, a little timeline. Tick, 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 tick. That would be my assignment. And what it did is it forced me to confront my PTSD. And that was hard, man. I still get occasional nightmares. I still have occasional times of having to deal with certain aspects of the job, but I've come a long way. And I'm not saying, ooh, look at me, but I'm using that as an example. With proper help, we could attack the root of our cause. And the root cause of my drinking and my addiction was my stubbornness to deal with my PTSD. And look, I hate crying. I absolutely hate it. And it's not because you're tough. I just don't like it. I don't like crying. And if I do cry, I like crying away from people. I like going in the bathroom and crying. I don't like people seeing me cry. But in that doctor's office, I broke down like shotgun. Broke me down like AR, military lingo. Um, and you know what? It felt good. We carry this burden of PTSD, and I'll tell you what causes us to drink. A lot of it is what we see. Yes. A lot of it is we dwell on it. I'm not a big fan of talking, but we've had, a lot of it is people dying on us. We see what we see, but it's when we see what we see is there's a lot of darkness, like I said. But the thing that affected me was losing people on the job, in the ambulance. I never, had quite a bit of those. Um, Seeing people die in front of me, responding to a call. That lingers because in your mind it's the traumatic experience, yes, but we have guilt, and the guilt is unnecessary. The guilt is I could have done better. What could I have done? I didn't apply myself. And here's a little history about me. I went through. I'm old. 90, 98. I went through 91 Bravo 10 combat medic school. Now I think it's mechanic. Today it's called 68 whiskey. I think something like that. Um, I did frontline training with infantry. Infantry medics trained by a lot of great docs. So I've always carried myself in the back of an ambulance at a very high expectation. I do the same as a fireman, but when I'm out there as a medic, it's just that training. And we've always taught, you do your best and you're all at day one, you're going to lose people. As long as you honestly do your best, that's what matters. And a lot of us, we can't, it's hard. I'm trying to stop. So let me take a second. The first thing about recovering is catching yourself and finding new words to replace words that cause negative effect. I've always tried to, we've always, in our mind, there is no can't. We try. We work our hardest. We do our best. We apply our skills. And sometimes it happens. It's people's time to go. And I've always bottled that up. Couple ones, and it's always on my job, my hands. It's always the young ones. And I'm open to talk about this because I want you guys to understand you can talk about it. And the more you talk about that root, with the root most likely is PTSD and guilt of your job, of you not being a success. I would never say failure. I say being unsuccessful. You can't carry that guilt. There, I said that you cannot carry that guilt with you. It's going to eat you up. And a lot of us, that's the root cause, is the PTSD and the guilt of losing people. And I had to let that go. I had to let all that go in order to move forward to do a full recovery. And that is hard for a lot of first responders. So the root cause, what is your root cause? Why do you drink the way you drink? Why are you hiding it? Why are you not confronting it? It is something scary. It is a scary thing to have to confront that root. Now, a lot of other people, the PTSD could be childhood trauma, could be going through the hog. I learned there's a lot of different PTSDs. A lot of people they seen that on the horizon and they wanted to intercept it and recover before they went down that next level. And you can come back from that, people. You can begin to heal with it. You just gotta want it. This is still hard for me to talk about because it's easier to think about it and rehearse it. And then when you're talking about it, It's a little bit different. But what is the root cause? We sit in group, a lot of us skirt around it. If you go to doctors, doctors know you're full of it. They're just waiting for you to come out and say it and come out and accept it. That's another thing that's hard is accepting it. We have to accept because a lot of us, we don't want, when we lose somebody, we look at it, we failed. You didn't fail. I'm telling you with the utmost passion. You didn't fail. If you did your best, and that person, you lost that person in the back of an ambulance or on the fire ground or in a crime scene, if you're a first responder or if you're a soldier in the battlefield and you did your utter best, that's what honestly does matter. You're not going to save everybody. And that's what the doc told me. Part of it also was, a little bit of childhood trauma. If you had childhood trauma, which is another PTSD, that's hard to bounce back from, you know, but it can be done. You just got to sit down and surrender yourself. And I hate that word too. Most of us hate the word surrender. But you got to surrender yourself and accept that if you've had past trauma as a child, and I'm open about this, you can't carry that baggage, man. It's going to weigh you down. And if you had past childhood trauma going into this profession, that's what sent me on a spiral. And why am I talking about this is that was the root cause of my addiction. Not letting go, not realizing I did do the best I possibly could. And sometimes you're not meant to save everybody. So my question is, what is your root cause? What causes you to drink? And I'll be honest, I am a little jealous of the people that can literally socially drink. Whew, I feel good. Now I got control. We as alcoholics, we don't have control. So we got to find different ways of expressing our willpower, our self-control, and discipline to keep going forward. Now, when I mentioned earlier, the relapse on the intro, listening to people tell their stories, relapse after relapse after relapse, a lot of it is they haven't confronted. And I talk to them. I literally will talk to them. And they say I just haven't confronted, or I didn't at the time confront the root cause of my addiction. And that's what also starts spinning the wheels a little bit. And these are people, they fell off the wagon dozens of times, and after who knows how many times, they actually went and sought help. They went and saw a therapist, and they got to the root cause. And a lot has been sober 30 years now, 40 years. It's amazing when you walk in there and you see these guys who've been sober for 40 years, and you talk to them, and they said, I had to confront why I was drinking. I'm an avid believer in, if you really want to be sober and stay sober, you can. You have the choice to do that. Again, this is where the Marcus Aurelius quote comes in. We have the ability to make the decisions. We have the ability to respond and react, and we have the ability to decide whether we pick up and we don't pick up. We do. It is within our control. And part of it is, if you listen to people, go to your AA meetings, people. I highly, and don't go there because, I have to. You don't have to do anything. Go there because you want to learn. There's always something to learn. You think you really know yourself until you start hearing the stories and they start calling you on your shit. Like my sponsor, when my first started hitting sobriety, trigger points. I'm still, again, when you confront your root cause, it's not going to be an overnight. It's going to take time. And there's a couple triggers I hit. I call my sponsor. My sponsor's old school. He's a firefighter, retired firefighter, Army veteran, 82nd Airborne. You know, anybody in the military sees that patch. AA, we used to crack jokes. Alcoholics Anonymous. Surprise, a lot of them are alcoholics. Um, he said, I'm going to keep it simple. He's like, you don't have to drink. You want it. So therefore, you're going to choose to. He's like, you know, he said, you got to go and he told me that. He said, figure out, still continue to confront that root, which is going to go into triggers. He was smart. He's like, now you got to, he's been sober. Ron's been sober 30 years now. And he's like, you got to fight through these triggers. You got to confront the triggers. What is triggering you? And he's never read Stoicism, but as you go through the program, and I'm not a fan of the big book, but there are some Stoic principles in it. You know, again, back in the day, its higher power was a lot of Christianity because they were really into church back in the day. So you got to open that up and look at it from your perception and your view. And a lot of it is, if you read the stories, the thing I took from the stories was they were successful because they confronted the root reason why they drank. I used to get bored reading the stories. These are stupid. Why do I want to read about other people's experiences until I went to AA? And then I read the stories. And there's some really good ones in there that you could relate to if you just open your mind. But if you shut it and you're not ready to read it yet, then you still, it's that root. You're not ready to confront it yet. You know, I believe if there's been people out there 35, 40 years sober, we could do it. One is also just accepting it. You know, acceptance is a huge, it's not just accepting you're an alcoholic and you got an addiction problem, accepting you're human. As a first responder, we like to think of ourselves as invincible, and we want to think of ourselves as protectors. You know, I go by this. And a lot of people, I don't know, one of the guys I was talking to at the Hog, I said, I bounced this off. He liked it. When people see police, they think of them, and this is why I say we're protectors. When people see a shield, they think police, and they think they're going, and as they're to protect them. When they see a cross, a Maltese cross, they think of hope, that we're going to save them. In the end, we're protectors. And that's why we took this job, to protect people. Some of us did it because we always wanted to be a first responder, firefighter, cop. Others did it because we've had bad experiences and we want to protect those or save those. And it is a heavy burden. It can weigh you down. But a lot of it builds up through traumatic experiences. There's a healthier way to deal with that. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you are going home and I talk to people on the job already, when they're at that point where they're going down a slippery slope, because we see it. As recovering alcoholics going through sobriety, we see patterns that we did. And then again, because we didn't want to hear it, they're not going to want to hear it. It agitates us because we know where it's going to go, and we want to prevent that so they don't have to go through everything that we went through and are still going through. As a first responder or anybody, if you're going home and the first thing you're doing is cracking a bottle of wine, drinking half of it or all of it, more, drinking beer after beer after beer, and then it's going to graduate to the hard stuff, and you don't, and it's becoming a problem. Whereas the first thing, you want to do when you get home, or if you're at work and you're like, man, it's a long day, I really need to go get tanked today. And sometimes, every so often, you hear people say it, but if it's a consistent thing, all you're doing is you're going home and you're drinking and you're drinking and you're not hungry, when it starts to build up, listen to your family. They're the first ones. And they're always not going to ask, You're not going to say you're an alcoholic. You're going to say, why? What's going on? You're not being yourself. You know, and since this is PTSD month, let me see. Give me a second. You know, there you go. All right, so PTSD, like I said, is a mental health condition that can occur after experiencing or witnessing traumatic events. This might include war, natural disasters, accidents, or any event that leaves a lasting impact on a person. It's our job. Not our job to deal, but this is our job. You know, Philly, you know, come on, big cities, gunshot, you know, it's no different from a war zone. You know, natural disasters, you know, okay, I can understand Midwest, but come on, as a first responder, and whether you're a firefighter or cop, getting shot at, and weapons drawn on, you're getting bit, you're getting attacked, you're getting spit upon, you're seeing death, you're seeing stuff that happenings to, you know, that should not be seen, you know. And it does start, and it's not about, man, I've seen more than you. Who cares? It's about not the, we're not comparing who's seen more game here. Some people it compounds, and then explodes. Some people's one time, and then that could be it. We don't put like who's seen more. It's not a contest. People got to throw that out, you know. Or what do you know about PTSD? You know, like come on, you got to throw that out and look at it as for what it is. It's just PTSD, and people react and respond sometimes quicker or sometimes longer. Sometimes the fuse is longer, sometimes the fuse is shorter. PTSD includes intrusive memories, reliving the traumatic event through flashbacks or nightmares. Avoidance, steering clear of places, people, or activities that remind one of the trauma. Negative changes in thinking and mood, feeling hopeless, having negative thoughts about oneself, or experiencing memory problems. Changes in physical and emotional reactions, being easily startled, always being on guard, or having a difficulty sleeping. Why do people with PTSD develop substance abuse? Basically, it's a way to cope with it. You're not facing it, you're not taking it head on, you're just throwing a quick band aid over it. And a lot of us, the reason why I'm bringing this up again is because it's PTSD Awareness Month. And it's also, like I said, a vast majority of first responders, this is the root cause of our addiction. And if you need help, well, I'm not going to say if you need help. You need help if you have PTSD. Everybody who says, I'm telling you firsthand, I don't need no help, I'll be all right, I had to go away. If you go to the Hog, I like the Hog. If you go to any group during rehab, especially tailored for first responders, you're going to see that you're not alone. It's not nothing to be ashamed of or embarrassed of. Again, we live in a cultural field that looks down on that, but this is also where I'm going to get a little on point with. They give on our job. They give speeches. Oh, it's PTSD. You got it, and suicide awareness. I feel they go hand in hand. I don't. I feel they shouldn't have separate months. It should be together, because they tie in together. Substance abuse, PTSD, suicide. They all tie in. I've lost a lot of friends on this job due to suicide. You know, and I'm open about that because I don't want it to happen. I feel if you're open about something, whether it's your personal experiences or something, be open about it. One, talking about it and getting it out there, it does heal. Two, we talk about awareness. How can we bring about awareness if you don't talk about it? Three, if you are a survivor, whether you survived yourself or somebody you know, share it because it can bring hope. And that's what we got to do. We got to fight this root, not fight it, but confront this root cause because in the end, there is hope, there is success. Yes, I'm going to be honest, even though you're a recovering alcoholic, you're still going to have those little triggers you're working with. you're realizing them, and you're learning to work with them. And it's not cope, it's accept. I accept there are certain places I don't go because it is a trigger. But how do we get over that? We got to go. You know, sometimes you have to force yourself to go into public places to realize that we can't shield yourself off from the world forever, because what happens when you're at home and you're not out there, we are meant to be around people, whether it's a little group or a big group. We're meant to be around like-minded people, family. We are by nature a social being. The more you stay inside and you're away from that human contact and people who can help, people who do love us, thoughts start running, liquor starts flowing, suicidal thoughts start coming into play. Um, it's a cycle. And the only way to break that cycle, people, if you want to, is to see the root cause of your addiction. And it's not, you're not weak if you open up about it. You're weak if you hold it in. It takes real strength to confront that, to accept I did do my best. Every day I go to work, I do my best. When I go home saying I know I did my best, above and beyond. But we're not gods, we're humans. When you could accept that you do everything to your fullest capability and then some, you know you should be able to lay your head down at night. But like I said, there's always those calls. If you go back and replay the field, you're going to get sucked back into depression. There's no wrong when you replay the field. Be like, man, did I do everything? When they ask you questions, did you do everything? Did you do this? Did you do? We get that in the medic unit all the time. Did you do this, this, and this, and this? Yes, we did. Here it is documented. When you can honestly answer the hospital staff, I did my best, and you can tell yourself, I did my best. When you go back and replay it as a lesson to learn from. Replay it as anything but negative. Replay that replay as, something to teach. We did do all of this, and I found out going through medical school, a lot of people did say that. They always said, hey, we lost people, and this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but we did do our best. Don't go back and dwell on it. Could you have saved their life? If you did everything best you can, especially in the fire ground, we've lost a lot of people on the fire, and people will replay that. But if you did your best and you went above and beyond and you did 100% of your best on this job, you should be able to lay your head down at night, but don't let it build up. Don't dwell on the negative aspects, because it's going to carry over into your work, and you're going to start drinking. And you're going to become you're going to get an addiction. And what's going to happen? Everybody says, oh, I got control of my drinking. And the next thing you know, show up to work tanked. You wreck your car, get in an accident, and you're DUI'd, It's not good. It's always a downhill spiral from there. Why? Because we don't want to confront the root cause of our addiction. PTSD is called self-medication, and it is short-lived and can lead to dependency. I know. So does everybody else. We drink, we get that flash, we drink. Now we're codependent on alcohol. And that's not a good thing. It's really not. There is help out there. If you're a veteran, you got the VA crisis line. And I'm not cracking jokes, but if you're going down that spiral, we could go, you got the ward. And I say that easily, but you got at Philly, it's on the 7th floor. Got the 7th floor. PTSD clinics, they'll make sure you're okay. You got suicide prevention line. We got addiction lines, all it is, and everybody wants to be embarrassed don't be embarrassed. It actually happens a lot across the board with first responders. You'll be shocked at how many of us are in AA groups. A lot of us do have PTSD problems. A lot of us are dependent on alcohol. A lot of us go down that slippery slope. But you don't want to go down that road. If you start seeing a change in your attitude and how you perceive everything, that's your first flag. I was one of them. And I lost a lot of good relationships with friends and family and loved ones who didn't talk to me for a while because everything was doom and gloom. That was the first sign. I didn't pay attention. Everything was doom and gloom, negative, negative, man, da 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 da. I had nothing nice to say about what I do. Next thing you know, it went to, I'll tell you how it went. It went to drinking. I like the taste. You know what? So does every alcoholic. You know, I just needed to calm my edge. And then it went from little wasn't doing it, little wasn't doing it, and then it went to 750 milliliter bottle every other day. And I wasn't being myself. My whole mindset changed, my whole demeanor changed, my health changed. Um, I would actually, and I'm gonna be open. I would wake up at 1, 2 in the morning, and I'll come right back out here, drinking more. I had extra Gabapan. I think that's how it is, Gabapan, and I will pop 4 or 5 of those. And I'm open about what I did, just so I don't have to deal with it, just so I couldn't remember. But you really don't sleep well at night. Sleeping is your whole body. When you have that much stuff running through your system, you're not truly healthy sleeping. I've been there, people. You know, there is light at the end of the road, but you got to confront and take on that root cause. It is scary. It's not fun. But a lot of us don't want to be vulnerable, truly vulnerable to that. We don't want to let them see that it's not weak to cry. It took me a long time when my pops always said, and I owe this to my dad, real men cry. And I was like, nah, no. As I got older, they do. It's not weakness, it's strength. When you go get the help you need, it's a sign of strength. People's been out there. A lot of therapists have been where we are. When I was at the Hog, a lot of the counselors were retired cops and retired firefighters. The therapists, they went through, I'm not saying my doc's name, but she went through traumatic experience by losing a child. And she went through downward spiral, the same thing, started drinking, and she's going to meetings. She's been sober 15, 16 years, something like that. Almost, I don't know, a while. And knowing it's hard what makes it problems for us to open up is trying to find that person or that doctor or that therapist who understands, truly understands, not textbook understands, but understands on a deeper level. When you find that doc who can listen to what they have to say, they're sober and they're for a reason. They understand for a reason. A lot of the docs I've talked to come from serious personal experiences. Excuse me. And that was the first thing they always said. Healing begins with understanding why you are drinking, why you are an addict, why you are going down that road. And I'm picking this because it is PTSD Awareness Month. And a lot of my brothers and sisters are probably sitting at home right now, looking at a bottle, staring down a barrel. If you find yourself going down that road, reach out. Reach out to family. Reach out to somebody on the job. I did. I'll be honest, I reached out to somebody I really didn't like on this job. I'm not going to say his name. Um, I'll tell you my story. I was sitting here and I reached out to him. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I didn't, but I knew he had a history of going through the same stuff. And next thing I know, my phone is blowing up. Yo, we're coming over. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, you need to go get help. I went on my own. So sometimes a person that you may not like, for whatever reason, might have more in common with you than you know. Reach out to them. Because when it comes to our lives and what we're going through, people on this job go through the same stuff. You won't even know it. It takes, takes guts, it takes strength, you know, to admit I got a problem. It's acceptance. The first rule, like I said, the first thing, you have to accept that we are powerless to alcohol. Now, if you're narcotics, we are powerless to narcotics. If you are gambling, powerless to gambling. If you are a sex addict and porn addict, you are powerless to that. 100 different addictions out there. All we're doing is we're just flipping the script. You also have to accept that you're human. We have a job where people look at us as we're Superman, we're Batman, we're heroes. We're human. We have to accept that. We have to accept that we are strong, but we are also weak. But strength can be attained once we understand that. We have to accept that we do our best. You know, we have to accept that. We have to accept that if we have an alcoholic problem, we have that problem. We have to go get help. Acceptance isn't just we are powerless to alcohol. There's a lot to do. But it starts with confronting your root and accepting it. When we do that, man, let me tell you something, you're going to break down. You're going to cry a lot. But in the end, it's like a weight, man. I can't explain it. That weight, that sigh of relief. Wow. What's the next step I got to work? Remember, it's not just always a 12 steps. There's other steps you got to work. And there's actually a PTSD. You know what I'll do? 1 second. 1 second. All right, I'm back. So there's a book out there, and I really push it. And you got to be open minded to it. It's really good. And I wish there was one written for first responders. But as a first responder, I still do say get this book and read it and just supplement it from our first responders. And there's the R word. I ain't got time to read. Let me tell you something. It's discipline, willpower. You have to have the discipline to do this, to stay sober. You have to have the willpower to, and if you don't have that, you're not going to have self-control. Like you got to have that discipline. And you have to have the want to. You have to want to stay sober. You have to want to take the step. But the book I love, I'm going to order another one, is Once a Warrior, Always a Warrior. When I was at the Hog, Doc Eileen gave me this book. And it's beat to shit now, part of my French. But I've never went overseas. So you want to talk about guilt? I'll talk about guilt right now. There's also guilt of why me? Why not me? I always wanted to go overseas. People think you're crazy. I wanted to go overseas as a doc and be there for my guys and girls. I volunteered dozens of times. I volunteered when I was in Fort Bragg, and numerous amounts of times, and I volunteered when I was in the New York National Guard, quite a bit. But they didn't need me. I volunteered. And the guilt of people not coming home, it rode on me. Believe it or not, it's weird, but it rode on me because my mind was like, if I was there, I could have saved them. Could I have? Maybe, maybe not. But I had, and it took me a while to get through that guilt. There's a guy too, a guy at the Hog who had the same thing. All my training, everything I did, I didn't get a go, and I lost people. And that is a true guilt for a lot of us who served. We've always wanted to go, but I feel there's other callings for us. Look at me now, fireman. Once a warrior, always a warrior is really good, especially for my veterans brothers and sisters. And as far as first responders, I do say get this book and read it from a first responder's viewpoint. The reason why I like this, and we could go over it more, is there's a chapter on come home from the battlefield. And that's when I looked at it from a first responder's view. Our battlefield is our backyard, people. Look at it this way. I don't look at it as a city. Look at it as a battlefield. The only thing we don't have yet, in all honesty, is RPGs and landmines. But if you look at it, got violence, causes PTSD. Got shootings, PTSD, stabbings, assaults. I've been, I'll be honest. When I got assaulted a few times and I had to defend myself, everybody's like, oh man, that's so cool. You got it. No, it's not. It's not cool. You got in a real fight, man. You got to use your skills that you did. It's not cool. It's not. Be honest with you. It's not. It screwed me up a little bit. One of the reasons I was drinking. It's not fun. This is our backyard as first responders is a battlefield. So when you are returning from that battlefield of the night before home, you're carrying all that. Some nights you may not see nothing, you may be chilled, but it's also listening, man, that's what's going on. Or you might be involved. Returning from the battlefield, that chapter there hit deep because it put it into you coming home from the battlefield. And I'm carrying that. You got to develop a sense of what to do healthy to not carry it. And here they go over the basic stuff that we talk about. Meditate. Go for walks. Talk to somebody. I like sitting in my car for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and just letting it go, decompress, thinking. I did do my best. All that, go to the gym. Everybody laughs, oh, the gym. Let me tell you something. The gym is an excellent source of release. And then it becomes something consistent. And you love it. And it's going to go from, man, I had a good day. I'm going to go throw that around those. I had a rough day today. A little chaotic. I'm going to go tear that gym up. That sounds better. Because you're going to push yourself. You're going to get all that emotion out. Then you're going to go home and you'll be like, damn, I feel good. Versus, man, I got to go drink. You're not really confronting the issue of the day. When you go to the gym and you do something healthier, walk the dog. They have a sign, they have a proven fact. If you had a rough day, come home and pet the dog. Walk the dog. Roughhouse with the dog. I chase my dog up and down the steps. I'll throw her around, but in the end, I feel good. These are all tools if you have PTSD to take it head on. So it doesn't become a root. You don't want nothing to fester and become a root. Because now you got to dig that root out. The deeper that root goes, the harder it is going to have to deal with it. Start confronting it now. It's like a garden. Your life is like a garden. You want nothing but nice, beautiful, I'm going to say flowers, roses, or herb, whatever you grow. That's your garden. You want to tend that garden. Sometimes crap gets in there and you got to take it right out. You want that healthy garden. And you don't want to have the PTSD being the root of that garden. And then what happens, it kills it. And you don't, and the reason why, again, I'm hitting PTSD, it's PTSD Awareness Month, and that is a root of a lot of our addictions. If you're an addict and you're wondering why you're relapsing and having a hard time, don't look from the outside in. That's what Marcus Aurelius was talking about. We have no control over the external crap. We have control over what goes on in here. A lot of us going through recovery and sobriety, we still look at the outside. Man, this person's causing me to drink. This person's doing that. Work's doing this to me. Reality is, it's you. You're letting your emotions get to you. You're letting them dictate it. And then you're going to react rather than respond accordingly. We have the ability to make the proper choices. Those proper choices is, if you're already an addict, if you're fighting through recovery, sobriety, step back. Really look in. You're not going to like what you see, but it's necessary. And then when you go to the doctor or your therapist, go talk to a therapist. I don't need no therapist. Well, obviously what you're doing now ain't working. Therapy is, I take it from me, it's not in the bottle. Go talk to somebody. Really be honest with them. If you're not being honest with yourself, you're not going to be honest with them, and you're wasting time. You really are. And then you're going to go down that slippery slope, and you're going to be in front of whoever desk you're going to be in front of, trying to explain it, and in the end, you're going to lose that argument. Don't put yourself in that situation. Be proactive, not reactive. Respond accordingly, not react. Confront that PTSD or whatever your root cause is. Now, if it hasn't festered that deep and you're starting to feel it, nip it. Don't let it go that far. And stop listening to these chuckleheads out there that say, no, you hold that in, you bottle it up, and you suck it up. No, that's a bad example. Those are the guys that are stroking out at 55, 60, not living to be 80 and enjoying retirement. Don't listen to them. Listen to yourself. If you know you need to talk, go talk. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. To ask for help. They always say that. So this is what gets me. Ask for help if you're in the fire ground or you're having problems understanding something. It's better to ask than not to ask. Well, take that same mindset over to your personal life and your health. Your health is what matters. Mind, body, spirit. And that is a goal of recovery and sobriety. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. The big book, it's your higher power. I don't know what your higher power is. That's for you to decide. Healthy mind, making proper decisions, proper choices. Healthy body, you're in the gym, you're eating right, you're not drinking, you're exercising, you're going for walks. You're doing something to promote all three. So this is for PTSD Awareness Month, and this is probably predominantly a root of all problems that's leading to alcohol. Do not let it go that far to where you pop one off and that's it. I don't want to be burying no more brothers and sisters. Let me look up a number for the veterans. Let me see. I'll look it up for you guys right now, and then see veteran. Veteran crisis line. So, all right. So 988 is a suicide and crisis lifeline. You could call it or you could text it. Veteran crisis line. Let me see. What's that number? Yep, 988. Press 1. I guess they changed it. If you're a veteran service member or any person concerned who is hard of hearing, you could also connect by texting 838-255. So there's the number. Seek help. They also on our health benefits, they got 24-hour therapists. Use our benefits. If you're a veteran and you're on the job, call somebody up. Get you to the VA center. Get the help you need. If you're a first responder, get the help you need. Don't let this fester. Everybody out there, I love you. You be safe. And take care of yourselves. Watch your six out there.